You are listening to The Michael Lodge Show. Wealth, business, and taxes. Oh, yeah, and some politics. Let's get started.
And good morning, this is Michael Lodge of The Michael Lodge Show. I'm glad that you have joined me. You notice my voice is changing? I think I'm coming down with a cold. We have had such a dynamic change in weather. I mean, one moment it's 40-some degrees, and the next moment it's 80 degrees, and this morning it started out at 60 degrees, and we'll get up to 80 degrees, and I think I've got a cold because of the change of weather. Well, that's life, right? You come up with these things when you get Mother Nature decides to change her mind on what temperature to set at. So I got up really early this morning because I wanted to prepare. I thought I had a 9 a.m. phone conversation with a client. We were going to talk about taxes and business and her business and everything else. And I was looking at my schedule, and it's not until next Saturday. So I got up pretty early for nothing. I could have slept in. Because normally Saturdays I try to sleep in and kind of get caught up because I'm going to do a whole bunch of chores the remainder of the day. But I didn't get to do that. So I'm up. I'm about, have my coffee, but no tax call with the client. But that's okay, because I'm going to have it with you this morning. Okay, I had some emails come in over the week, and they wanted to know about what they could do about being disabled and getting disability and also Social Security, and how much income that they could make. And they told me what they were doing, and they were making, basic items that they could sell part-time. So the question came up, is it really a hobby or is it a real legitimate business? Because that's what the IRS is going to look at. And one of the issues is, if your business claims a net loss for too many years, and you know who you are out there who have been doing this. Listen, I used to have clients come into me, and they would have these businesses, and as you looked at their tax returns, they had several years of losses, no income. From the day one that they started, they've had no income. No net income, I should say. And all they had was losses. So, listen, if the IRS contacts you and says, listen, can you show to us that you're an actual business? It's probably because you look like a hobby, because you've had so many years of losses. Now, what do you think the IRS looks at? Well, what do you think the question is? So, the IRS expects from you, the taxpayer, who's claiming this as a business on your Schedule C, they expect that if you start a business, you intend to make money out of it. Which seems logical, right? If you say that you're going to start a business, you're going to put your effort and time and everything else into making this a legitimate business. So does it look like a legitimate business if you claim a loss every year ever since the day that you've started? No, you're running a hobby. So what do the IRS look at? These are the questions that they'll ask when they look at your tax return. Do you put in the necessary time and effort to turn a profit? That's the biggest question. Or are you just doing 1 or 2 or 3 items a year? Let's say you make $5,000 in a year, but you claim $10,000 of expenses, so you have a net negative of $5,000. You're probably a hobby. the other thing that they would look at is, have you made a profit in this activity in the past? Or can you expect to make one in the future? Now, it depends on what you classify your business as and what you're going to be listed as. But the question is, have you made a profit in the past? Have you shown a profit on your tax return at any time during the past few years? Or has it consistently been a negative, always been a loss? The other question that they're going to ask is, do you have the necessary knowledge to succeed in this field? Well, let's take a look at that, okay? Listen, some of you have gone out there and you've gotten these insurance licenses, right? And real estate licenses. Unfortunately, you haven't really conducted that much business. And unfortunately, you've claimed a whole bunch of expenses against that, but you've only done maybe 1 or 2 policies. Listen, the IRS is going to look at that and say, how much knowledge do you really have in business, of the business of insurance, but you're not going out there and selling, and you're not using your knowledge? Or do you even have any knowledge in that industry? Maybe that's why you're not selling it. So maybe you are just a hobby. Maybe you're just getting these licenses so that you can take a tax deduction, but you're really not conducting any business. Or maybe you're building furniture and you're only selling 1 or 2 a year, but your expenses are outweighing your income every single year. The question is, are you a business, and are you really focused on this as a business, or is it just a hobby? Do you depend on income from the activity that you've listed on your tax return? Then the other question that they ask is, are your losses beyond your control? So that is some of the questions that they're looking at in identifying you as a hobby or as a business. I mean, if you are truly doing all the marketing, if you're truly trying to go out and get new business, and you're trying to do everything to improve the business, and you're really focused on driving revenue into your business, then you are a legitimate business. I mean, you are literally trying to do the right thing to get your business going. But if you're not, and maybe you're just selling 3 items a year and you've made $3,000, but you've got $6,000 of expenses, so you've got $3,000 negative that you're taking against your income for the year so that you can get that larger refund. I'm telling you, the IRS is going to look at you and they're going to say, that guy's a hobby. Now, what happens? What happens when the IRS determines that you're a hobby? Well, generally, the IRS classifies your business as a hobby. It won't allow you, it will not allow you to deduct any expenses or take any loss on your income tax return. Which means if you've made $3,000 but you've claimed $6,000 as expenses, all that $6,000, if you classify it as a hobby, it goes away. The IRS dismisses it. You're still going to have to report the income. It's not subject to self-employment, but you have to claim that income. It will be claimed. And if that increases your taxable income, that's the reason why. So, and I used to give this lecture to clients over and over and over again because they wanted to claim their losses. They wanted to claim their losses, and they were willing to take that risk. And every time I would say, this is probably going to be determined as a hobby. Because I don't see, and this is my feeling to you as my client, I don't see you really putting the time or effort into really making this a business. Yeah, you went out there and you did this and that, but you've never focused on income generation. 3 sales a year is not really income generation. That's a hobby. You're just doing it to make extra money. And that is classified as a hobby. And so I don't want you guys to go out there and thinking that I've got a legitimate business here. I am making flagpoles. And I'm going to sell these flagpoles to make extra money so I have some extra money coming into my pocket. And I have all these expenses. I've got the wood and everything. But I only sell one flagpole. For the whole year, I sell one flagpole, but I take all those expenses. Listen, the IRS will say and look at you and say, listen, you're not really trying to make this into a legitimate business. You're not putting the time and effort into it. You're not outreaching and trying to sell this product. You're just selling it to your friends. Sold one to your mom so she could put it up on the front porch. You really haven't justified this as being a real business. Now, I know a lot of you are going to continue on doing it, but I'm telling you that once the Internal Revenue Service begins to look at, and Schedule Cs for business or profession, those are highly audited. The Internal Revenue Service has an algorithm that takes a look at these Schedule Cs. And if they see something that looks different, because they track your tax returns over the years and they see that you're claiming so many losses over the course of the years, but you've claimed no income, you're operating a hobby. That's how they're looking at it. And they're going to come to you and they're going to ask you some questions. And they're going to give you this long list of information that they would like to see. They want to see your bank accounts. And if you're commingling your personal business, your personal finances with your so-called business, they're probably going to say, no, you're really not a business because you're commingling. You don't have a business account. And so they're going to see all of your personal expenses and everything that you spend, but they don't see any bank account that supports your business. You see, when you start commingling your personal life with your business life, that's when red flags go up, and especially when you're using your own personal bank account as your business account. If you're actually going to run a business, open up a business account. Whatever expenses you pay out of it, you pay out of your business account, not out of your personal account. If you need to give your money, if you need to give your bank, if you need to give your business, I can't think this morning, but if you can't give your business a loan, whatever money you give to them will be a loan that will be added as a loan. Because you don't have any LLC set up, so you're not putting in capital. You don't have a corporation set up, so you're not buying more stock. You're operating as a sole proprietorship, so you have to loan yourself some money, the business, and you got to pay that off at some point in time. Commingling of money is a big no-no in any business, in any corporation. If you have a corporation and if you're commingling personal bank accounts with your business account, you have a problem. If you don't document it as either a loan or buying more capital or buying more stock, whatever, you have to document it. So this is the problem that we have, is the classification of hobby or business. And you need to think about that, because once you classify yourself inaccurately as a business, but in actuality you're a hobby, all those expenses, and they can go back 3 years, okay? All those expenses that were claimed on your Schedule C will be gone because you're classified as a hobby. And that becomes income to you. So be very careful about how you're operating your financial life, because it can come back to haunt you if you are deemed to be a hobby. I mean, I love hobbies. I think hobbies are great. If you can do something on the side to generate more income to you, that's great. But you got to report it at some point in time. But I love this I love the fact that people are trying to make extra money. Some people carve things, some people build chairs, some people do all sorts of different things as a hobby, and they're making a little bit of extra money on the side. That's fine, but make sure you classify yourself and understand that you are a hobby. Now, if you go into it full time and you build up your business and you open up your bank accounts and you open up an LLC or a C Corp, or you can even still be a sole proprietorship, but as long as you can show that you're operating as a functional business and you're getting the business licenses and you're getting the marketing and you're going out there and really striving to generate income, you're not striving to generate expenses, you're striving to generate income for that business, then you can justify your argument that you are an ongoing business. I mean, I used to love to read audits on corporations, and one of the things that they put in audit reports, and I saw this statement on so many companies because they had so many losses. And the statement used to come back from the auditor in the audit report that they have concerns whether or not if this is a functional company, if they can sustain it as an ongoing company. Those statements used to come back from the auditors in the audit report. The same question should be directed at you. Are you a hobby in a sustainable sustainable business? Think about it just a little bit, because let me tell you, taxes can be very expensive if you misclassify yourself in any way. And if you misreport yourself in any way, it can become expensive because they can go back, they can audit those tax returns, and they can apply penalties and interest. And that adds up. So I want you to really think about this year as you file your tax return. Are you a business or are you a hobby? And have you even come close to being in compliance with the Internal Revenue codes, the rules of reporting? Think about that very carefully, because you don't want it coming back and haunting you later on with a big old bill from the Internal Revenue Service. I know that you guys don't even like to get those bills now, but they're going to come if you don't classify yourself correctly. And that is my tax lecture for today. Since I didn't have my client to give a lecture to, you got it. Listen, if you want to ask me a question or you have a comment, send me a text at 818-252-5682. Again, that's 818-252-5682. Or send me an email. If it's a long question or several questions, send it to info at lodge-co.com. If you want to help me on my podcast, and if you like the content that I'm producing for you, go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Michael Lodge. Very simple. buymeacoffee.com/Michael Lodge. So that's it for today. I'm sorry you got the lecture, but you needed to hear it. My client wasn't here today to hear my lecture, so you got it. Listen, this is going to be a great weekend. I want you to go out there, and I really want you to strive to do great things. If you're thinking about starting a business, sit down with a tax accountant or send me a question, and I'll be more than happy to help you. By the way, I also offer a 60-minute consultation at $65, and you can ask me any question that you want, and you can book that online at my website at www.lodge-co.com. But I will literally spend 60 minutes with you, and we will answer every question that you may have. And if I don't have the answer, I will get you the answer. I will find you the answer. So if you are starting a business, or if you have a business, or if you have a question about business, just book me online. You can do it at my website. And the website will be in the comments below. But listen, why don't we just ask questions, okay? If you have a question, ask it. I'm here to answer it. I answer a lot of them during the course of the week. So, listen, it's Saturday morning. Get up, get at it, get stuff done, do your chores, and go out and see a great movie. Spend time with your families. But today is your day, and I want you to enjoy it. This is Mike Lodge. Talk with you soon. Bye-bye. Hello, this is Michael Lodge. Join me daily as we talk about wealth, business, and taxes, as well as the politics that affect us. The Michael Lodge Show, trying to make sense of it all. Listen on your podcast provider. This podcast is produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused on content.